welcome to Big Talk, where we look at big conversation in the country, a whole lot of concern in aspect of what is really happening in the country, in the state of the nation, one way or the other. Some persons are really having a concern about the economic hardship in the country. We're trying to see how we can begin to track some palliative distribution by the federal government tonight on the program. We'll also quickly revisit the issues of the Kano Emirates Tosu earlier. That was an issue and a concern for many Nigerians. And also we'll conclude tonight, we're looking critically into the issues of the End Bad Governance protest. It looks that government on the other hand are saying that there are sponsors behind that protest. Some persons have been taken behind bars for committing treason against the country. We'll be looking at the aftermath of the End Bad Governance protest tonight on the program. Thanks so much for joining us. A very big, and of course, a regular guest who earlier was here some months ago to look at the issues of the Kano Emirates Tosu is back again on the program at this time to understand, to give us an understanding about what the federal government are doing, the palliative distributions, and where is the missing line between what government seems to be doing and what we are having on ground in the respective state of the federation. Tonight, I'm being joined by Jaffa Sani Bello, a former PDP gubernatorial aspirant 2019 and 2023 in Kano State. Alhaji, thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you very much.
Without much, Ado, I understand you were here earlier to critically look at the issues that was coming from Kano Emirates Tosu. It looks that the matter has been settled. Do we say completely that we can go back to rest, that the matter has been settled at the court?
No, actually the matter is before the courts for adjudication. But the people of the state have taken up the issue and they have taken their destinies into their hands, and they are trying to see to it that they bring to an end this kind of political rascality that is being advanced by political leaders by just sheer will and sheer luck. When they happen to be in political office, they think they can do as they wish or as they like. Earlier on, when we spoke on that issue at the top of the matter, you know, there were advances here and there that these things were done to fulfill the aspiration of the people because it was a political promise. So if it was a political promise, they have abolished the 4 emirates. Why are they returning the emirates now?
Some of them have been returned.
They have returned them. They have returned Gaya, they have returned Karai, they have returned Ranu, because they sent in district heads and the people of those areas rejected them. So now they have returned them, but they have made them, returned them as second class or third class emirs, but they are still calling them emirs. So I have already told you that by which parameter were they able to adduce that this thing they are doing is in line with the wish and aspirations of the people of the state. So now we have a situation whereby also, to the credit of our Nigerian traditional rulers, they have also taken a step to guard against these kind of encroachments that are being done by political leaders who have 4 years to spend in office, and they see these 4 years as if it is something that is never going to come to an end. They will be there forever. They will turn into some kind of emperors, you understand? They have taken steps, and I think these steps that they have taken will avert these kind of encroachment by politicians in all the states of the federation. One, they still legitimately recognize Aminu Ado Bayero in all their affairs. In all their affairs, they have pushed the reinstated Emir of Kano Sunusi Lamido Sunusi to seek him for the federal government to allow him or give him permission to start intervening in the banditry and negotiating with bandits. So he is trying to look for relevance. He has been cornered. Well, the state government has brought him back because that's what they want. And the traditional council in Nigeria, from the northern part of the country and the southern part of the country, have decided to put a stop to this silently. And they have continued to work with someone that they believe is an absolute representative of his people.
All right, since the matter is already in court, Doctor, we cannot really exhaust that communication, so we'll allow the court to really have balance
to go ahead with it.
But there is a more concern right now in the nations about the hardship on ground. Government, on the other end, will tell you we've made some distribution to state. But there's a recent controversy coming from Kano State, where All Progressive Congress in Kano are saying, and they have replied the chieftain of the New Nigeria People's Party, that is Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, that who has criticized the method adopted by the federal government in the distribution of rice palliative to the needy in the state. Kwankwaso on his Facebook page had said that the federal government decision to give Kano's share of the palliative to APC stalwart in the state was a disservice to the democracy, since the palliative to 35 other states were given to their respective governors. There are this concern, and the other one, let me first start with Kwankwaso. He made a comment that your party is dead. Probably in your state, we don't know if it was a national comment describing that People's Democratic Party is dead. On the other hand, it's criticizing government palliative. We are trying to see how some of this palliative can get to the people. Respond first that your party is dead.
First and foremost, you have to understand that political parties are institutions, and PDP has emerged to become a strong institution in Nigeria. At one time, the People's Democratic Party lost a former president in the person of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, with due respect, but the party still survived.
How do you mean that you lost him?
He tore the
He's
card.
not a member of any other party.
Yes. He tore the membership card of the party. But I will assure you today, if President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari, will come out in public and destroy or tear the membership card of APC, APC will be a foregone history. It will be in the history books. But today, the PDP is still surviving. So if the PDP will survive an action by a strong man, by someone that we hold dear, by someone that has done so much for the nation, but who believed at the time that he took such actions, that the right course was not being headed towards by the leadership that is heading the country, which now he has realized that we were still on course at that time. If we will lose such a member and the party will still be alive today, what do you talk about mere demagogues like Kwankwaso?
He was a member of your party.
He is a member of the party. He has left the party. It's not going to cost the party any kind of headache.
Do you feel that his movement to NNP, that we are seeing that he has taken over Kano, he has a governor in Kano State?
That is the reason behind him ascribing the 2027 election as his election, that he's going to win the election, because he believes that holding the treasury of the state at his whims and caprices, at his beck and call, is the surest route to the presidency. It takes more to have led a state. It takes more than installing a puppet as the governor of the state to emerge as the president of a country like Nigeria.
So when you say
we will be in a dire mess if somebody in the person of Kwankwaso will emerge as the president of this country. Nigeria will be in tatters. We will not even have something to manage, to live on. Talk less of having a country. This is somebody that the APC has copied. He is criticizing the APC, the All Progressive Congress government, in the way and manner they shared their palliatives. But they adopted the same style he adopted. When Kwankwaso was in power, when he decided to build primary school blocks in Kano State, he did not take into cognizance equity and fairness, equity and equality. He was busy building two blocks of classroom in each local government. How can Dala, with a population of over 3 million naira, with a population of a student population of about 1 million, have 2 blocks of classroom? And his own local government, with a student population of 150,000, have 2 blocks of classroom. Where is the equity? Where is the fairness here? That's equality, but that's not equity. And that's exactly the same thing that the APC government did in the sharing of palliatives. How can you give Bayelsa State 20 trucks of palliative and give River State 20 trucks of palliatives, when River State is like 3 or 4 times the size of Bayelsa State? How can you come to Lagos and give Lagos 20 trucks of palliatives and give Osun State 20 trucks of palliatives? How can you come to Kano with a population of almost 20 million people, give them 20 trucks of food as palliative, and go to Zamfara with a population of about 3, 4, 8, 5 million people and give them 20 trucks of palliatives. It's the same model. That's his own mindset also. He did the same thing. When he was building 5-kilometer roads in Kano, he shared it among the local governments, and he was building 5-kilometer across the local government, not minding the landmass, not minding the need, the desirability of such projects in such places. So now that he is echoing that he's going to win the 2027 election, I wonder by what method or by what mechanism he is going to get there to win the election.
The fact that he is in charge of your in charge of your state. So people are saying that Bokoso is in charge of your state.
Yes, he is in charge of the state.
Is he not allowing the governor to dispense his duties?
The governor is just there as a remote control. The governor is just the screen. Kwankwaso is the remote control. He engineered the deposition of the emirs.
So you feel every decision, so you are confirming to us that every decision taken by the governor is directly from
directly from Kwankwaso. I'm confirming that to you, that any decision that is taken in Kano has to be in tandem with the wills, whims, and likes and interests of Kwankwaso. That is sure. Nothing to go about that. Let me give you an example.
People with him.
Who are the people that are with him? The people of Kano are waiting for the time. When he took the decision to depose the emirs, were the people of Kano with him? They were not with him. When he took the decision to demolish structures, and now they took a round trip and they are reallocating those shops that they said they demolished because it's a prayer ground. These people have nothing to do with religion. These people have only what it takes to defend and promote their own personal aggrandizing interests. That's all. Let me give you another example. When he talks about, okay, just for having a share of the votes in the 2023 election, he had only 6.4% of the total votes. He was able to garner about 1.4 million votes. And about 1 million votes were all from Kano. Malam Aminu Kano of blessed memory in the 1979 election garnered 76% of the votes that were casted in Kano, and he garnered 10.28% of the votes that were casted nationwide, having a total of 1.7 million votes in his kitty. He did not come out to boast that the next election of 1983 is going to be his to win. In 2011, former President Muhammadu Buhari was able to garner 12.2 million votes, 31.97% of the total votes casted in Nigeria, and 1.6 million votes in Kano. But he did not come out to beat his chest and say, okay, the next election is his. What he went under and started making alliances. He started forming alliances with people that are of like mind. He formed an alliance with the AD. He formed an alliance, with the AC, formed an alliance with ABGA, a breakaway group of ABGA, and at the end of the day, they were able to narrowly grab power in 2015, which for almost 9 years now, Nigerians are regretting the path they have taken by pushing out the People's Democratic Party from power and bringing in the APC. Look, they have formed, they have set a standard now. General Muhammadu Buhari, for 8 years, President Muhammadu Buhari was the Minister of Petroleum. Where has that taken us to? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with all due respect, now currently is the Minister of Petroleum. Where is that taking us to? It took us from 87 naira of a liter of fuel to 1,300 naira now a liter of fuel.
All right, Doctor. I mean, over on this program, we've been having these issues of what is the way forward. So if we're saying the palliative distribution, if what was distributed to Kano State was to cover the population of over 20 million, can we really see that what was sent to Kano has been effectively being used and distributed?
No. It hasn't been effectively utilized.
Is it parties that become a party affairs?
You have issues. You have issues of top government functionaries that were caught in the act of rebagging those palliative rice.
Are they taking it to their houses?
Yeah. We had
for their personal consumption.
We have an issue that a top government functionary, over 300 bags of such palliative rice were caught in his house. We had a top government functionary stacking thousands of these bags in a warehouse and he was rebagging them to sell in the market. So
This is what is meant for the people.
this is what is meant for the people, and this is the government that Kwankwaso is supervising and superintending over. And this is the same kind of person that wants to govern Nigeria, God forbid.
So does it look that he doesn't have the grounds to criticize government
He
for
doesn't
sending him out to
have,
APC?
he doesn't have any ground, he doesn't stand the moral ground to criticize anybody. Look at the mess he has put Kano in.
But
Just 1 year in office, how many scandals are they jumping from and running from? He is still having allegations to face. He has run to the state high court to obtain a restraining order preventing the EFCC from further investigating or arresting him or arraigning him. If he knows he doesn't have anything to hide, why run to obtain a restraining order from the court? Our former governor, Male Ibrahim Shekarau, was charged by the EFCC. He was in court for 2 years. He didn't run to go and get any restraining order from any court. He faced the charges, and at the end of the day, the court vindicated him and set him free from those charges. Why is Kwankwaso shying away from facing those charges? This is the same person that forced our local government, 44 local governments, to contribute 70 million to his presidential aspiration in 2015. 70 million. This is the same person that has squandered a lot of money in the name of sending children to foreign countries
Wow.
to study abroad. He has no moral justification. He
To
stands
to
no moral
criticize
ground
the distribution
to
of the
criticize
palliatives.
anybody, not even the distribution of palliatives. Anything that this administration is doing, Kwankwaso is the least person that has any moral status or only moral grounding to criticize anybody.
Well, it is not a personal opinion, and that's the reason why I'm having to understand what does a common people, a common man in Kano State really feel like, because we are talking about cushioning the effect of the hardship on the people.
Do you know what
We
is
are trying to
currently going
address-
on? Do you know what is currently going on in Kano? Somebody is being incarcerated for saying his son's ears are as big as that of the governor. He's been incarcerated. The magistrate that he was arraigned before brought all kinds of conditions. This is somebody that was invited by the police. He presented himself. This was somebody that was taken to court, granted bail, and the following day, the registrar of the court invited him and he presented himself, and the magistrate is telling him to bring his village head, the wife of his village head, get a Hisba personnel.
Some conditions have been
Conditions, get a Hisba personnel who is going to be recommended by the Director General of Hisba Board. Bring the chairman, bring the chairman of his organization. He's a member of NUJ, Ratau. He should bring the chairman of his own. They have fulfilled all these conditions, but the chairman of the Director General of the Hisba Board has not been reached for him to give that recommendation to his staff, and she gave a criteria that Hisba staff must be a 65-year-old. This is what they are good in.
So
He has now been in incarceration for 10 days. This is what they are good in. Just for saying that the governor's ears are his child's ears are as big as his son. Isn't that a statement of fact?
Probably the court will probably handle that very well, but we are trying to get to know the effects of this distribution to state. I mean, I understand that in Kano State you probably may have your own opinion on how this is well handled, but we're trying to see if government are saying the hardship is real and they are bringing palliative from the perspective that you wanted to be the governor of Kano State. Do you feel that is enough?
The palliatives are not enough. The mode of distribution or the sharing of the palliatives is far from being the standard. I've already started by telling you this. You cannot come to a decision whereby you don't have a pro rata basis and start appropriating things on a pro rata basis. We have states. Our federal allocation system has a system whereby it shares funds and distributes them to these local governments and states. So we have on equity, we have on landmass, we have on population, we have on ecological disasters, so many standards. If the government is sincere and is serious and it craves the cravings of Nigerians that there is hunger in town, it should have approached the distribution of these palliatives with a different perspective. Let me give you an example. They can decide to share it per local government. A state that has 27 local governments would get so amount of share. A state that has 30 local governments will have so amount of share. A state that has 8 local governments, like Gombe State and Bayelsa State, should have so share of. But you cannot blanketly say, okay, you are giving 20 trucks across the board. It will not meet the yearnings of the people, and it will be a drop in the ocean in some states, where in some states it will be barely enough. So the approach is wrong. And if the approach is wrong, we cannot even go into discussing or having an understanding of whether it's enough or not.
Because we have seen where some state, I mean, if you go to some state, if PDP are in power, the APC will tell you PDP are holding the palliative sent by the federal government. If APC are in power, you see PDP saying that the other party is holding some of these things. And what the intention of the president, because if you look at the statistics of what we are having, that several distributions, several steps taken by the government are on the grounds that subsidy have been removed. This is a means to try to cushion this effect. Now that we have an increase of 1,000 naira, we are seeing that people and our leaders and our politicians should rather make some sacrifice. Do you feel that the sacrifices of those in government, those in power, and our leaders of many states are enough, which some Nigerians are considering that their lifestyle is a concern to us? It looks that they are telling us to exercise patience. It looks that they are telling us to endure, but they are not showing the example.
Well, I wouldn't even bother to go into that line of discussion, because I believe our political class are living in a Jupiter or Mars or somewhere not on.
They are disconnected from the people.
They are disconnected from the people. If we have a government that has spent billions of naira purchasing SUVs for National Assembly members, we have a president that has spent billions of naira to purchase a presidential yacht for himself, which he doesn't need, a presidential jet for himself, which he doesn't need, decorating the villa with $200 and something million for the first lady. It is a government that is living in abundance, and it is telling the people of the country that there is scarcity. You can't be living a life of affluence and be telling your children in your own house that they should endure. You wear the best clothes, you wear the best shoes, you wear the best wristwatch, you eat the best food, you drive the best car, and you're telling your children to manage with a bicycle and to manage barely with beans and rice. When you eat beef, you eat chicken, and you what have you. They live a life of abundance. How can they be telling our people to endure? What do they want our people to endure? There is complete disconnect, and there is no comparison. You know, it's just like Tales by the Moonlight. If for us to sit down and discuss whether the government has any justification to tell Nigerians to endure, is simply Tales by the Moonlight. Let me tell you something. I heard the president saying, with due respect, that he's a reformer, and that if Nigeria wants to see roads like the ones that are built in China, we have to endure. The Chinese people did not endure. The Chinese people ensured a system from Mao Zedong to Dao Xiaoping to Xi Jinping, a system that was consistently moving their people out of poverty.
So it wasn't a
they did not live a lavish life, and then the penalty for corruption was death. Death. You face the gulag in China. So if we are to have what we dream of or what we see in China, then let the president start implementing the steps that Chinese implemented in their own country.
So you already said that the cost of telling Nigerians to exercise patience is too much.
It's unbearing. It's unbearing. All you need to do is just look at the face of Nigerians. You will know that there is hardship.
Shouldn't we believe the better days that the president is taking us to?
There are no better days ahead. There are no better days ahead.
Some of the policies and reforms.
You don't need any super intelligent person to tell you that you cannot desubsidize the lifeline of a nation and expect anything to go.
It was necessary to some candidates of the
why should it be necessary? Why should it be necessary? Why should it be necessary? Let me tell you something. We have seen what the conditions that are being in other countries. They subsidize almost everything to those people that deserve the subsidy. In Nigeria, once you desubsidize petroleum, it affects every facet of life. We once had the former emir of Kano, the deposed emir of Kano, Sunusi Lamido Sunusi, when he was the central bank governor, he was advancing the removal of subsidy. At a point, he said that all generators are being run on diesel. So removal of subsidy on PMS will not affect those people, small-scale entrepreneurs. That was the time it took him to know that most generators run by small-scale entrepreneurs are run on PMS. Look at the disconnect. These are the kind of people that are taking decisions for us.
So you feel the team that we have, the economic team, those that are advising the president, are not doing their job, are not doing our job enough?
Do we have an economic team in place?
We have the ministers in charge and the committee.
Do you believe we have an economic team in place?
Probably
if we have an economic team in place, by now the CBN governor will be out of job. The NNPC group managing director will be out of job. The debt management office DG will be out of job if we really have an economic team in place. Because they will know that no voodoo on earth will salvage a situation on our economy without having the right people with the right mentality in place. They have completely lost it. They have floated our currency. We are an import-dependent nation. What do we export? Crude oil. We don't even determine the price of crude oil that we export to other nations. Is that a basis for us to devalue our currency? It's not a basis for us to devalue our currency. We don't have refining capacity at home. Is that a reason for us to remove subsidy on petroleum? That was no reason for us to remove subsidy on petroleum. For how long have they telling us that Port Harcourt refinery will come upstream, will start production, Kaduna refinery will start production, Warri refinery will start production? Look at the drama around the Dangote refinery. As if this Dangote refinery is built in Bakassi that has been exercised to Cameroon now. Dangote refinery is going through a hell lot just because he wants to bring an end to round tripping. Because the moment Nigerians come to understand that Dangote refinery has the capacity to sufficiently supply the domestic demand of Nigerians, PMS, AGO, jet fuel, kerosene, then you would not have any reason as an NNPC group managing director to come and tell Nigerians that you are importing crude from, or you are importing petroleum refined products from any other country in the world. Like what they are doing between Brazil and Malta now. Who are the own, up till now, Dangote has made an allegation that some top-notch NNPC members are the owners of these refineries in Malta that are importing this crude to Nigeria. So if you have a government that is looking up to China, by now so many heads would have been rolled and a lot of blood would have been running in the gutter of the gulag because so many heads would have been chopped off. But you are continuing to tell Nigerians to endure. To endure for what? To endure subsidizing your own lifestyle as a leader? That is what the Nigerian elite, the political class of Nigeria is telling Nigerians.
Because it looks like.
To continue enduring, subsidizing their own lifestyle, subsidizing their own living, subsidizing their own lavishness, subsidizing their own laziness. It's time for them to sit up and look at the issues that are facing this country. The time is up.
Now we're trying to, before we wrap up with you, a concern that we had a president who was the leader of APC during the regime of the former president. He has been a governor of Lagos State with the capacity that he has transformed Lagos. We now had him elected to office as a president. So we felt, many Nigerians feel, that he has the capacity to take tough decisions and action. But we are being confronted with an issue in that petroleum sector. Does it look that the president lacks the political will to confront it?
You see, let me tell you something. It takes more than being a governor of a state, any state in Nigeria, be it Lagos or Kano, to govern a country like Nigeria. The complexities of a nation like Nigeria are beyond the capacity of what it entails to be a governor of a state. That's the mistake that Nigerians made. Look, the government and the administration of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was able to match up what it was able to do because it was weaned during the short administration of late Eradua, who was guarded and guided by Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. And that is why Nigeria needs somebody like Atiku Abubakar. It needs somebody that has been in the system, that understands the rudiments of the system, to be able to confront them head on, who on earth, without looking at the books, would say something like subsidy is gone, gone forever? On what parameters? What was the justification for such a rash decision? Whatever decision you must take, there has to be superior arguments that would be able to support that decision. There has to be parameters that were taken into consideration that would support that decision. None of that took place. You just came into power. The very day you came into power, fuel jumped from 147 naira to 300 and something naira. Transportation fare from 1,000 naira to 5,000 naira. Food prices, they met a country where the minimum wage is able to sustain you for a month. We have a living wage during the PDP government. The PDP government had in place a living wage, and they criticized that living wage. They said it was a minimum wage. When they come, they are going to give Nigerian civil servants a living wage. Now, do Nigerians have a living wage? Tell me any country on earth where the minimum wage of a salary earner will not be able to purchase him a bag of rice. During our time, when we pay you 30,000 naira, you pick up a bag of rice, you pick up a carton of macaroni, you pick up a carton of indomie, you pick up a carton of spaghetti, you pick up a jerry can, 25-liter jerry can of groundnut oil, you pick up groceries that will be able to last you 30 days. But now you have a system whereby the minimum wage of the country cannot buy you a 50 kg bag of rice.
Isn't it a
Inflation is 100%. Which one is a global problem?
But they are saying that in other nations that are confronted with the same issue, fuel is at over 1,500 in the landing cost in some states, some countries. That's the reason why we are...
All right. I would like to also take on that argument. I saw somebody... I would like to take on that argument, because somebody was telling me that fuel in our neighboring country is being sold for 1,500 naira. Tell me, what is the exchange rate between that country, like South Africa? What is the exchange rate of a rand to a dollar? It's just about 10, 17 rand to a dollar. What is the exchange rate of naira to dollar? 1,600. What is the minimum wage in that country? And the minimum wage, per hour wage of every South African, when he works for an hour, he will be able to buy a gallon of fuel. If you work per hour in Nigeria, you will earn 340 naira. You will not be able to buy half a liter of fuel. So why does that comparison come? We just have some voodoo economics, Baba Sope economics, who just sit down elsewhere without any attachment to the reality of lives on ground, and we start just putting some nasty figures and points here and there, appropriating figures here and there, justifying what ought not to even have a conversation, not to talk about justifying it.
A lot to really put about. Jafar Sani Bello, former People's Democratic Party gubernatorial aspirant, 2019 election and 2023 election in Kano State. We can't thank you enough for, of course, some of your contribution. We want the country to work because Nigeria is our own, so we want Nigeria to get better, and that's the reason we definitely have to have this conversation. Thanks so much for spending your time with us on the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
All right. We'll now revisit the issues of the End Bad Governance protest. It looks like government are saying, so there are some sponsors behind that action, but in a way, Nigerians are saying, is that a way to go in addressing the hardship that the sponsors of that at the End Bad Governance protest is hunger? We'll look at that critically shortly after this break. Please stay with us.